It's been coined Operation Decisive Storm, and it's in full effect. Saudi-led warplanes continuing to bomb the stronghold of Yemen's Houthi rebels for a second night. Saudi Arabia is targeting strategic military camps controlled by the Houthi group, and it's doing this with the military support of 9 other countries in the region, with most providing fighter jets. Egypt and Pakistan are both contributing naval support to the operation. A spokesperson of the coalition says the strikes will continue for as long as necessary. But how long is necessary? And can the battle be won? Joining me to discuss the very latest is Sama'a Al-Hamdani, a journalist specializing in Yemeni issues and politics. Thank you for coming back on the show. Let's start right there. The coalition says this offensive will go on for as long as necessary. What exactly does that mean? What's the end goal?
That's the problem. It seems that right now the goal is to destroy all the military bases in the capital in Taiz in Yemen that used to work for former President Saleh. The problem with that is that they're destroying the official military infrastructure. When they leave, when they're done with this operation, when they leave, there will be no infrastructure for the military. So if they do reinstate President Hadi into Yemen, he won't have a military to back him up. So it's going to be really hard to see where they're going to go forward. There are no talks of what they have in mind moving forward. And it seems like if they just do this and leave Yemen, it would be very catastrophic. And this is not an invitation for them to plan anything in the future.
It doesn't seem like maybe they're thinking about the long term, what this all means for the country. Well, Arab officials have said that they hope the strikes will be enough. Of course, they're saying they're starting with the strikes, they're strategic and targeted, and then if needed, they will push to a ground offensive. But what do you think about the notion that this can actually be limited to just strikes? I mean, how likely is it that we're going to see this quickly move into a full-scale ground invasion?
So the problem is there are several conflicts that are taken on the ground that are separate from the airstrikes. So if we look at the southern provinces of Yemen, the military there has launched some attacks on the people, and the people in the south have decided to attack and harm any northern Yemenis. So because of this war, discourses of hate and discrimination amongst Yemenis are being exacerbated. And in the cities where there are airstrikes, there is a total chaos, a sense of total chaos. There's a lot of looting happening, a lot of goods are being taken, and the problem here is that none of the human rights agencies, the international human rights agencies, of course, are talking about this. They're not talking about the damages happening to the people. On the ground, there are several independent initiatives by human rights activists that are, condemning a lot of the behaviors taking place. But aside from all of this, when we look at Yemen, we have a food crisis, a water crisis, and these countries, these 9 countries, if they really do want to save Yemen, they should really think about providing humanitarian assistance, health assistance. For one of the countries launching the strike is Egypt, and Egypt decided at this time, for the first time since the country was created, they decided to enforce a visa on Yemeni citizens. And so before, Yemenis were able to get in and out of Egypt because they're Arab brothers and sisters, but now Yemenis have to get a visa before they get in. And so it seems that while they're trying to help Yemen, they're also keeping all Yemenis on the ground. The airports are shut down. Nobody can leave the country. And so it doesn't look that great.
Very, very optimistic at all. And I do know there are reports that 25 civilians, I think, were killed, 40 injured. Definitely some concerns about the civilian casualty count going forward. But I want to talk very briefly about the U.S. role, because we know that they're obviously, not going to be issuing any kind of military intervention, or at least they say they won't. At this point, they're providing logistical and intelligence support. Where do you see their role coming in down the line once this does expand, if it is indeed going to?
I don't think that the U.S. would have any boots on the ground in Yemen. They've tried not to do that even in their war against Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. And so I think this is a sensitive subject for them. At the same time, Iran is being dragged into this, and it's becoming a huge regional conflict. And I think it's unfortunate, because we need to kind of focus on the 26 million people on the ground who are actually suffering the consequences of this political discourse. Because over here, it's just all about politics, pro-Iran, pro-Saudi Arabia, and having America kind of choose a side. But in reality, it's about 26 million people on the ground suffering airstrikes as we speak. So this is the 3rd day in a row, and it's apparently getting worse each and every night. And so now the problem is, who's going to be accountable at the end of all of this? right? Is Yemen's president even legitimately, to the Yemeni people, not legal legitimacy, but, do the citizens in Yemen want him back? What's going on now? And it seems that any kind of continuation or expansion of this program is really risky and would probably keep Yemen in conflict for many years.
That's a really good point. Who is going to be accountable? It's very hard to pinpoint somebody or something to blame. But I really do appreciate you coming on. Sama'a Al-Hamdani, journalist focusing on Yemeni issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.